Welcome. You are tuned in to Municipal Focus. My name is Kevin Touch, and I will be your host for this program. What is Municipal Focus? Well, the idea of this program is to not only get you up to speed with some of the things that are happening with local town government, but we also try to focus on some of the issues and the items on all levels of government, whether it's county government, state government. Sometimes we'll talk about national items as well. But today, we are going to be on the county level. Why is that? Because joining us, he is a gentleman, he's a Democrat for County Commissioner. He is Mr. Scott Vecchi. Scott, welcome to Municipal Focus.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off. We can't assume that everybody knows who Scott Vecchi is. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'd like to, just a short description of me. My name is Scott Vecchi. I'm from Plymouth. I'm currently a practicing attorney focusing on bankruptcy and immigration. I am a retired police sergeant from the town of Plymouth and a retired gunnery sergeant of Marines and combat veteran of the Iraq War. I also currently work part-time on the ambulance, doing a lot of interfacility transport and some 911 service. My entire life has been about community service to my town, to my country, to our state, and I'm hoping to continue that as your next county commissioner.
Tell us, what is it about the county commissioner race? What is it about this seat that made you say, I want to run for this office?
The county commissioners are a very not well-known position that performs some important functions. Like I said before, I was a police sergeant for a long time, so it's difficult to be involved in town politics when you're a town employee. Although I have served on different boards and commissions in the town of Plymouth over the last 15 years. So my focus kind of took more of a county level because it eliminated a lot of conflict that existed as a municipal employee. The county commissioners perform a pretty important function, but if you ask most people, they have no idea that one, they exist, or two, what they do. So part of that is I'm hoping to educate people as to the importance of this, but also respectfully ask for their vote and their confidence and allow me to continue my lifetime of service.
You're somebody who is usually pretty active within the community, and I think that you have done service with various boards and committees, whether appointed or just volunteer to be a part of it. You want to kind of share some of those committees that you've been a part of?
I've been either an elected or appointed for the last 15 years. I'm currently the commissioner with the Plymouth Redevelopment Authority. I serve as the vice chair. And the focus of the Plymouth Redevelopment Authority, when it was originally formed, it was formed to reduce blight. However, there really isn't too much blight in the town of Plymouth right now, so our focus is on affordable housing. And we were very proud to announce that we are partnering with Habitat for Humanity and building an affordable house down on Strand Ave in Plymouth. And that's currently in the works, and that'll be a great thing when it's done. It was a novel concept when we found it, and I encourage any other town to utilize it as well. The town had taken a property for tax title. It was a vacant piece of property that somebody forgot about and didn't pay taxes on it. So eventually, after a long time, the town took possession of it for the back taxes. So the town of Plymouth gave that to the Plymouth Redevelopment Authority, and we realized that we're not contractors and we can't build houses ourselves. So we looked to see who was the best fit. And Habitat for Humanity, has a long track record of building really nice, affordable houses. So in partnership with them, what we're going to do is we're going to build this house and hopefully use that as a template, because there's numerous other tax title properties in the town. So you do one small thing that benefits one family, and then you keep doing that over and over, and eventually it has a pretty large impact. So I'm very happy about that. That's an important thing, because affordable housing is probably one of the biggest topics around right now with the housing market. And this house, it'll remain affordable in perpetuity, which means forever. So what Habitat does is they put a deed restriction on it. So whoever gets it through the lottery, and there's an application, they have to be within a certain income level and all that. But whoever gets it can't flip it and rake in profits afterwards. The Habitat has a right of first refusal, and the person can get their equity back, but they can't, you know what I mean, they can't get a windfall out of it. So that's one thing that I'm extremely proud about. I also served on Plymouth's Charter Review Commission. We spent 2 years going through our charter line by line by line, proposing improvements. Before that, I was on a charter review committee. The commission was elected. The committee was advisory to town meeting, and we made a lot of recommendations that some town meeting accepted, some they didn't. I served on the Historic District Commission, which it is important in every town. You know, we're the oldest part of the country. There's a lot of very historic things, and the purpose of that board was to make sure that the downtown historic district stayed in keeping with the character that the community wanted it to be. Before that, I served as an elected town meeting representative, and I enjoyed town meeting. I used to like to sit with the older folks because they possessed a lot of institutional knowledge. So, like I said, my entire life has been about public service. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17 years old. I left. I came back, got hired by the Sheriff's Department, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, worked there for a while, got hired by the Transit Police, worked for the Plymouth Police. So between the boards and committees and my other service, like I said, from the time I was 17, I've been serving my country or my community, and I would really like to continue that.
America's hometown. Sounds as though you've thoroughly enjoyed helping her. Now it looks like you want to take your talents to the other 26 communities, and again, Plymouth. City of Brockton is lone city in Plymouth County. You may have answered it earlier on in your why you were running, but what exactly does a county commissioner do? Or what does the commission do?
Very important question. It's something most people don't know. And what I analogize it to is a selectman. It's basically they operate much as selectmen do. The format of that government is much the same as selectmen. They are a 3-member board or commissioners that meet every other week at the Plymouth County offices down in Plymouth. Mm-hmm. Plymouth being the seat of the county is, you know what I mean. There's 27 different communities, but you know the seat of is Plymouth. And you know they're in charge of a lot of important things. They're in charge of the Registry of Deeds, the Registry of Probate. They're in charge of the county farm. There's a lot of different programs that they do, 4-H, and so it's an invisible layer of government. And if we live down south or out west, you could leave Whitman and travel for 20 or 30 miles before you hit the next community, be it Brockton or whatever. And all of that land in between is called unincorporated territory. It's not incorporated into a municipality. So down south and out west, the county is the bigger form of government. They actually function, the DPW in the unincorporated territories. They run schools, you know what I mean? So they're a larger form of government that everybody deals with on a daily basis, whereas up here, because everything touches, there is no unincorporated territory, so the county becomes that invisible layer. But they have they do perform a lot of important functions. If you are unfortunate enough to get divorced, I was, you need to go to the Registry of Probate. You need to have all of that paperwork done and see the judge in probate. If you buy a house, when I bought my condo, we had to go to the Registry of Deeds, register the deed of the condo and all that other stuff. So there's a host of important functions that this invisible layer of government performs. And I see myself as a very good fit for that. As an attorney, I possess a lot of legal knowledge, but also a knowledge of how our government functions, because we had a whole year of constitutional law in law school. My favorite subject was why our government does what it does and how it's empowered to do what it does. So I'm hoping to bring that knowledge plus my experience on different boards to the county commission.
Yeah, I feel that when it comes to campaign season, every candidate has a slew of ideas, new ideas, initiatives. As a candidate, I'm sure that you have a set of ideas and initiatives that you would like to, hopefully, if elected, incorporate into the county commissioners or into the county. What would they be?
I actually have several really good ideas, and I preface this but with these weren't my ideas originally, and I'm very cognizant of the fact that Scott Vecchi does not have all the answers that our community needs.
That's good.
So I do pride myself and will continue to pride myself on being responsive to the people that elect you or the people that come to you with their ideas and how to make things better. One of the best ideas that I've heard in a while was a county animal rescue. And I have 2 dogs. I have 2 labs. I have a 12-year-old chocolate English lab, and I just got he's a 9-month-old black lab puppy. I don't know if you've ever had a black lab puppy, but they eat pretty much everything. He's a handful, but I love animals, and I followed like New England Lab Rescue and a few of these other rescues. One of my friends, she rescues, constantly rescuing animals. She rescued this Flemish giant rabbit. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those.
Only on Facebook.
What cool, unbelievable, giant things they are. She's rescued like New York street cats, and I listened to her, deal with all these different issues. And one of the things that somebody brought to me was there is no large animal rescue, and I'm not very familiar with how big Whitman's Animal Control is. I'm figuring it's probably a handful of people with a small facility. I know Plymouth's is actually, has 5 or 6 people that work there, and they have a decent sized facility that's very old. But when you go to the smaller towns, your Halifaxes, your Hansons, your Plumptons, they don't have those resources.
Right.
So one of the best things the county can do is regionalize services. And if you regionalize this important service, you're doing one thing is you're finding these animals the forever home. You're helping people because there's nothing more therapeutic than something that has fur and 4 legs. But if I'm in a bad mood and I hang out with my dogs, I'm in a better mood. So there's up this end of the county, there's the over in Brockton, there's an animal rescue.
MSPCA?
There's I forget the name of it. It's actually an animal rescue, but they're a 501c3. So in my thoughts is why couldn't the county partner with a 501c3 to develop a regional county animal rescue that would ensure that that these animals are well taken care of while they're in their care, but that they're actively a place where you can seek out a pet to adopt. And like I said, it's to me, animals are a resource. You know what I mean? They depend on us. We should take care of them the best we can. Some of them, owners fall on hard times and don't know what to do with them. But so if you knew where the Plymouth County Animal Rescue was, wouldn't you know what the county does a little bit? So there's that flip side to it too. We're also, hey, look, that says Plymouth County on it. Plymouth County's providing an important service. Wasn't my idea. Somebody brought it to me. I said, hey, can I run with this? They said, go nuts. And I think it's a great idea. The other one is Plymouth County doesn't have an agricultural school. So if you live in Whitman and your kid wants to go to the ag,
Norfolk Aggie,
then they have to pay the town of Whitman has to pay Norfolk $20,000 per student.
Yep.
But not only that, they have to provide transportation. And transportation is the hidden cost in education. And a lot of what the problems Brockton's had has dealt with transportation costs. So I'm not saying let's build a $15 million school. I'm saying let's spend about $100,000 to have a professional company study whether a Plymouth County agricultural school is a feasible project. So let's, just because it's Scott's idea, it's actually not even Scott's idea. That's somebody brought that to me as well. But it's a great idea. So let's see if it's a feasible idea before we start spending too much money. Plymouth has a lot of charter schools, which are in space buildings over in our industrial park. So it's not like they need a $15 million school. The county already owns a farm. Across the bay over in Duxbury, there's the blue economy, which is oyster and shell fishing. Hanover, the South Shore Votech has a horticultural program. Yep. So with these things spread across the county, can we again combine these regional services and provide a better service to the 27 communities? And then if we had Plymouth County Agricultural School, people would again recognize the county. Hey, the county's doing an important task. There's some other stuff that I want to do, but I know we only have a finite amount of time. I'm a huge fan of solar. small solar projects, not giant farms. But tying small solar arrays to individual county buildings to reduce the carbon footprint, reduce their energy costs, because the county has to write a check to Eversource. So if they harness some solar energy, reduce that cost, you reduce your fixed costs, you're reducing your reliance on the tax monies or the money out of the Registry of Deeds, which in this housing market is a trickle right now.
We're at the midway point of our conversation at this particular moment. Of course, you are tuned into Municipal Focus. Since COVID in early 2020 and the Trump administration passing the CARES Act, followed by the Biden doing the American Rescue Plan Act, the county, Plymouth County, stepped up, the county commissioners, and said, hey, the monies that are going to be given out through these acts to help the folks in the Commonwealth, we'd like to be the ones to give this funding to the respective communities. A little bit of a fight happened between the county and the administration. Of course, the county ended up being victorious and has done a great job and has gained a lot of goodwill when there were a lot of folks who were questioning whether or not county government was the way to go. What can the county do to build upon that goodwill that was gained through the CARES Act and ARPA funding?
And a very good point is that in the other parts of the country, the county being the larger form of government, so when the federal government looked at who should distribute this, they actually looked at, hey, county government is a larger form of government, and that'll be a lot more effective, so for them to be the conduit, so to speak. Unfortunately, though, that funding's coming to an end, and there's there's some of it left, not very much left, that's still being distributed, but it did build a whole bunch of goodwill. So what, in my opinion, the county needs to do is they need to continue on that. Obviously, that funding source has dried up, but what the county really needs to do is develop new revenue streams. And if they can develop new revenue streams, they can continue to afford to do projects that benefit the 27 communities. Again, I mentioned I'm a retired police sergeant. So one of the things that they don't tell you when you retire is from the day you retire, you don't get a check for like 2 or 3 months. So what did Scott have to do? Scott had to develop new revenue streams. So that's why I wound up getting a part-time job on the ambulance. I was actually driving Uber for a little while because I said, hey, look, I don't know anybody that can wait 2 or 3 months for a check, even if you worked a lot before you retired. So I went out and I developed these new revenue streams. The county needs to do something similar, and they need to look at hey, what functions can we perform as a county government that bring money into the county? Again, the primary funding of the county is through the Registry of Deeds. When you sell your house, when you refi your house, whenever you do that, you need to go to the Registry of Deeds, record the deed. There's a fee. The state takes the lion's share of that, and I think they only keep around like somewhere between 9 and 11 cents on the dollar that passes through the Registry of Deeds. So, what could they do? Currently, there's a proposed project within the town of Plymouth. It seems to have kind of faltered a little bit, but one of the possibilities of that project is a large revenue stream for the county, because the county, in order to do more programs, would need to develop more funding. The animal rescue, again, 501c3, you could bring money in through that. There's money from the adoption fees and all that other stuff, and you want to kind of turn that into what we call an enterprise fund, where it funds itself and doesn't draw a lot of money from the county. The county ag, you'd qualify for state educational funding and that kind of stuff. So we got to look around and say, hey, look, what are innovative ways that we can afford to do these programs, but not burden the taxpayers? I don't know if that answered your question.
It certainly did. Well, I'm going to follow that up with asking if you feel there are any. I feel each race has its set of issues. With the county commissioner race, and we got the primary around the corner, are there any really bona fide issues that are before the candidates?
Excuse me. The big issues that are there. There isn't really a lot of them, but one of them revolves around the county farm. So the county, for those who don't know, way back when, I believe it was 2010, the sheriff's department was removed from the county. When they were removed from the county, that changed the funding for the county. And excuse me. But they kept possession of the farm, and they leased the farm to the sheriff's department. There was a lawsuit that went back and forth. It was determined that the county owns the farm, and they provided the sheriff a 5-year lease at $20,000 a year, and said, "Hey, look, this is just to get you going. You need to renegotiate this." So that's up, and the 2 of the 3 commissioners that exist have proposed just giving the sheriff a softball lease without considering the actual monetary value of this land. That's a big issue, because this last year the county was at a $900,000 deficit. So if you're going to be at a $900,000 deficit, which they made up through a rainy day fund, it doesn't really erase it, you know what I mean? It just kind of makes it so that it's not, the county isn't going to go bankrupt. But if you have a $900,000 deficit, and then you have this resource that can actually bring money in, and you softball it to somebody, you know, whether it be for political favor or other reasons, you're not doing the voters, you're not doing the taxpayers the service they deserve. You know, what is the realistic value of this land with an agricultural restriction on it? You know, and I you know, maybe it's not a lot, but if it's more than $20,000 a year, if it's $40,000 a year, then you're doing a little more to make up that gap. And you know, two of the commissioners voted for it. You know, 1 voted against it. I really think that there needs to be a better look into this. And they're actually having a hearing next Thursday, for public input that I plan on attending. Excuse me. The county farm, being the largest issue. The other one is the proposed use of the woodlot.
I was going to ask you about that, because that's also a hot topic.
Yeah. So the and
that's in Plymouth.
And that's in Plymouth. And unfortunately, the county and the town have kind of been at odds for a long time. Mm-hmm. And what does Scott bring to the table? Scott knows everybody in Plymouth, and I have a decent relationship with everybody. And the one thing that that people who know me know that even if we don't get along, that I will respect you and I will work hard for what's right. No real personal agendas. I'm actually in a good position, being retired, that I can, undertake an altruistic endeavor like this. I don't need the money. You know what I mean? I'm bringing on a lot of work to myself, but I think I can make Plymouth a better place. That being said, the town and the county have been at odds. So who can heal that gap? Somebody from Plymouth. Somebody who's lived their entire life in Plymouth, who can pick up the phone and talk to all these people that, again, even if we don't get along, they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to respect me and know that my word is good. So I think that I can heal that gap. And if this project does come to fruition, I've only seen a wave top proposal on it. It has a lot of ways to go. But out of the wave tops that I've seen, it could bring significant revenue into the county to allow the county to do those other programs that we were talking about. It could actually, fund the county for a long term, and it's what's called a 40R project, which would provide the town of Plymouth with a defense against 40B. Because with the 40R Smart Growth Project, the town can say, hey, hold on with this 40B uncontrolled development. We're already meeting our required numbers under the 40R project, and if I'm sure you've been to the Cottage Park in Plymouth.
I have.
And you've seen a lot of the neat things they do. If you've ever been to 3V's, great restaurant.
Yep.
They built the Harbor Walk apartments out there, and there's a proposal. They're still supposed to build a marina. That's a deep water port from back when it was a rope factory. So that's a 40R project, a smart growth project that brings money in from the state. The Cottage Park is about 59 acres. The project proposed on the Wood lot is 3 times that. But it's one of the sticking points is the housing that's attached to it. So it's 3 times the size of Cottage Park, but it also has 3 times of the housing when built out over 20 years. So that's a gap that needs to be covered, because anytime you propose large development in any town, it's going to get people very cautious, and they want to make sure that this is a good project. So that's a huge issue that I don't think the current commissioners can solve, because they've been at odds with the Plymouth Board of Selectmen. And again, I'm not saying that I'm special or I have some magic that I can work, but all of the members of the Board of Selectmen respect me at least, and know that if Scott says, hey, this is what we're going to do, then they're going to take me at my word. And again, it's a smart growth project. It's from the wave tops I've seen. It's a good project, but it needs to comport with the town's master plan, and it needs a comprehensive traffic plan as well. And those are the 2 important things, because on Long Pond Road, I don't know if you've ever driven down Long Pond Road at 3 o'clock when the school lets out, and the jail changes shifts and all that other stuff. The proposal that I saw would double the capacity of Long Pond Road. So these are important things that somebody from Plymouth needs to know the issues on.
Okay, less than 3 minutes left, but I think it's enough time to be able to ask you a final question, and also allow you to look into that camera over there and tell folks, a little bit about how they can find out about your campaign. Is there a question or a topic that we haven't touched upon that you can take 30 or 40 seconds to talk about to our viewers?
We talked about it briefly, but developing new revenue streams without burdening the taxpayers, I think, is probably the most important thing that anybody can do. And with everything that's going on and all the politicians, we've become so divisive, when we really need to look at who's the best candidate and who can do the most for the voters, for the residents, for the people that they're elected to serve. And I really truly believe in my heart, again, I'm very altruistic in a lot of the things that I do, that I'm that guy.
Okay. If folks want to find out more information about you, Scott Vecchi, maybe they want to get involved with your campaign, maybe they want to sign on their lawn, how can they do that? That's a great question, Kevin. If you want to find more about me, you can go to my website, which is vote4vecchi.org, vote4vecchi.org. I'm on Facebook as the Committee to Elect Scott Vecchi. We're on Instagram as scott.m.vecchi. And or you can call my cell, and I'll tell everybody here my cell is 781-706-5726, or email me. You can it's info@voteforvecchi.org, or just scott.vecchi@gmail.com. The one thing about me is, and you've known me for a long time, everybody has my cell phone, everybody has my email addresses. If you call me or text me, I'm going to answer you. I think I'm probably the most responsive person to the public out of anybody, any politician that I've ever met. Well, Scott, we want to thank you very much. We're plumb out of time, but thank you very much for at least introducing yourselves to our audience and allowing them to get better informed, not only with you, but with the county commissioner's race. As everybody knows, there is a September primary that's coming up. If you're not sure as to where, when, or how you should vote, contact your local town clerk's office. They'll give you all the details, all the information as to whether or not you're able to vote, or what precinct you have to vote at. And we want to thank you for tuning into a program like this. You have been tuned into Municipal Focus. And until our next conversation, have a great day.